Hi, everyone. Welcome again to another very special edition of In the Weeds with Jimmy Young. This is a breaking news edition, and we're so happy to be joined by the Washington, D.C. the Political Director of NORML out of Washington, D.C. His name's Morgan Fox. Morgan, again, thank you so much for joining us here to talk about what has to be one of the happiest days in a long time for NORML and some of the other activists that are out there.
Hey, absolutely. And thanks again for having me. As a native Ohioan who has had firsthand experience in the criminal justice system related to simple cannabis possession, and somebody who's been working in cannabis policy reform for 15 years now, this has been a long time coming and definitely represents like a culmination of the effort of lots and lots of people over the years.
And the results were very telling. I believe it was 56% to 44 odd percent here and there. The third most positive impact or positive result in history behind, I think it was California, and you're going to know the second one.
New Jersey was pretty good as well. There may have been others, but honestly, we haven't seen the full vote count yet as of this recording. So I'll be interested to see what the final shakedown looks like when it comes to the full support of Ohioans. And it's also important to keep in mind that this was taking place during a special election in an off year when cannabis policy reform initiatives generally tend to do much worse than they would on either a midterm or in particular in a presidential election year. The opponents within the state government worked really hard to try to keep issue 2 off of the ballot entirely. And when they couldn't do that, they did everything they could to make sure that it was on an off year special election, really in order to try to ensure that it would lose. But the people of Ohio made their voices heard loud and clear. And now it's up to the state legislature to follow the will of the people and actually implement this initiative in the way that the citizens of Ohio intended.
Yeah, let's hope that happens. You never know when it gets in the hands of the state legislature, what they might do to change it or tweak it in whatever capacity they may seem fit. But this includes a lot of really important things for those that are pro-cannabis, and that includes home grow. It includes an adult use market. What are the other elements to this ballot initiative that you were happy to see?
Well, in particular, allowing adults 21 and over to possess up to 2.5 ounces of cannabis on their person legally without fines or without any other citations is really, really important. Unfortunately, it did not include an automatic expungement language, but previous legislation passed in Ohio did. And so that legislation is actually being implemented as we speak that will hopefully help out a lot with the criminal justice and restorative justice aspects of cannabis policy reform. But it's important that as of December 7th, we're not going to be seeing arrests anymore unless there's some sort of an injunction against the initiative, which I think could be very problematic for anyone trying to go that route. But it also establishes that in addition to the existing medical cannabis companies that operate in Ohio, I believe between 40 and 50 licenses for different types of licensure are going to be offered. And the first ones that are going to be made available are to people that qualify as social equity applicants. So hopefully, as long as, again, the legislature doesn't try to curtail that and doesn't try to cap the number of dispensaries arbitrarily or the number of cultivation centers arbitrarily, we'll start seeing social equity applicants be able to start applying within the first 2 years of the program, and hopefully much, much sooner than that. In terms of protection for professional licensure and things like that, there are all sorts of additional provisions in the bill that are going to protect cannabis consumers from discrimination simply for using a substance that's safer than alcohol. And hopefully very soon, individuals in Ohio will be able to enjoy cannabis like they would other legal substances as adults, and be able to use the taxes from that for funding a wide variety of civil improvement programs.
And I saw NORML put out a press release yesterday that a new Gallup poll came out, and there's now 70% of adults over the age of 21 support legalization. That percentage seems to be growing exponentially almost every year now.
Yeah, I mean, after the last couple of years where it was pretty stable at around 2/3, it's great to see that it's starting to climb. And now we're actually at majorities along every political affiliation and ideological bent. Um, we're seeing increases among every single age group, and support is all pretty much the same, regardless of things like race and gender. So obviously, younger people support this a lot more than older Americans. So that means that we're just going to continue to see these numbers grow as the years go by.
Yeah, and I hate to do this to you, but you've got 24 states now. Who's going to be the 25th state next, Morgan?
That's a really good question, and I think we're looking at the possibility of several ballot initiatives next year, as well as probably dozens of state legislatures looking at the issue and considering legislation to regulate cannabis for adults. Just recently there was a committee hearing in Pennsylvania seriously looking at the issue. So, I think that we are moving in the right direction, but we're also getting to the point where or the states that still have not done so are going to be probably a lot more difficult to get it done in. But when you look at the history of alcohol prohibition, the states did this in very much the same way, where a growing number of states were starting to end their prohibition policies. The federal government did so, and then you had a number of states that continued their prohibition policies. Even as far as the 1980s. In certain aspects, in terms of where people can access different types of alcohol products. So I would not be surprised to see the state level process continue to be the struggle that it has been. But at the same time, we're also getting to the point now where there's an undeniable mandate to make cannabis legal in the United States. And while some states are probably going to be polling less than what we are nationally for quite a while, it does mean that we have increased momentum now, and especially since that support is only going to continue to grow as more and more people see the benefits of regulating cannabis for adults. We're only going to see more and more pressure on lawmakers to actually not just support these reforms, but to prioritize them.
Hey, thank you so much, Morgan. Congratulations to NORML and all the other advocates out there for Ohio's success at the ballot box. They are now the 24th adult use legal state in the United States. This has been a breaking news edition of In the Weeds with Jimmy Young.